Or, there's something incredibly magnetic about someone who walks into a room and doesn't need to do anything loud or flashy to be noticed. She's not chasing attention. Attention just kind of finds her. And it's not because of what she's wearing or how she looks, although that can play a role, but because of this energy she brings. This quiet, grounded self-assurance. That's what we're talking about when we say confidence without arrogance. It's that subtle attitude that tells a man she knows who she is and she doesn't need him or anyone to validate that. Confidence isn't about being the loudest voice in the room, and it's definitely not about pretending to be perfect. In fact, sometimes the most confident people are the ones who are completely comfortable owning their imperfections. They're not afraid to say, yeah, I messed that up, or I don't know the answer to that. There's a strength in that kind of vulnerability. And to a man who's emotionally mature, that's incredibly attractive. We often think we need to impress someone to attract them. So we go into these situations thinking, I have to be funny enough, charming enough, smart enough, whatever it is. But that whole mindset is rooted in scarcity. It's like we're trying to earn someone's affection by performing for them. But true confidence, it doesn't perform. It exists. It just is. And it gives off this incredibly rare vibe, I'm enough as I am. If you see it, great. If not, that's okay too. Now, let me tell you what that looks like in practice. Imagine you're on a date, and the guy you're with starts talking about his job, maybe in a field you know nothing about. Instead of pretending to know more than you do, or nodding along silently just to seem agreeable, confidence looks like asking real questions. It looks like curiosity. It looks like saying, honestly, I don't know much about that, but it sounds fascinating. What made you get into it? And then just listening, not to win points, but to connect. It also means you're not afraid to disagree when something doesn't sit right with you. A confident woman can say, I see it differently, without needing to convince the other person or feel threatened by the disagreement. She's not trying to dominate the conversation, but she's also not disappearing into it. And believe me, a man picks up on that. He senses that she's got her own mind, her own standards, and she's not going to mold herself into whatever shape she thinks will please him. That kind of woman stands out, not because she's trying to, but because she's already standing in her own space. She's not chasing chemistry. She's observing it. She's not rushing to prove her value. She knows she has value and lets the right person discover it. There's a big difference between trying to prove you're worthy of love and simply being ready to receive it when it's real. And here's the interesting part. Confidence is quiet, but it's not passive. There's a lightness to it. You can tease, flirt, be playful, all the things that make connection fun. But it's never coming from a place of desperation. It's not about needing someone to fill a void. It's about sharing the overflow of your own joy, your own life, your own energy. That's the kind of confidence that makes a man think, I want to be part of her world, not because she needs saving, but because her world feels good to be in. Now, that doesn't mean you never have doubts, or that you always feel like you've got it together. No one does. But the difference is, you're not making someone else responsible for how you feel about yourself. When a woman walks into a date, or a conversation, or even a long-term relationship with the mindset that I like who I am, I respect who I am, then everything changes. You stop chasing people who don't see you. You stop twisting yourself into knots, trying to earn love. You stop staying in situations that make you feel small. You start attracting people who match your energy, who respect your boundaries, who are excited by your independence, not intimidated by it. Because a man who's truly worth your time isn't looking for someone to impress. He's looking for someone to connect with. And confidence. Real confidence. That kind that's subtle and grounded is one of the deepest forms of connection there is. So when we talk about what draws someone in, not just for a moment, but in a way that lasts, it starts here. With how you show up for yourself. With how you carry your own worth. With how you choose to be before anyone else enters the picture. Because the most powerful thing you can ever say without even opening your mouth is, I know who I am, and I'm not afraid to be her. There's something deeply powerful about a woman who lets herself be seen. Not in a loud or dramatic way, but in the way she shows up with warmth, openness, and that gentle kind of presence that makes someone feel safe being themselves. When I talk about feminine energy, I'm not talking about cliches or stereotypes. I'm talking about a kind of receptivity and emotional availability that draws a man in without her having to chase or convince. It's the attitude that says, oh, you're welcome here, but I don't need to prove anything to keep you. We live in a world that's constantly telling women to toughen up, be strong, never let anyone see a crack. And yes, strength is important, but there's a quiet kind of strength in not having to armor up all the time. There's strength in staying soft. There's strength in showing kindness even when it's not required. And that's where the magic happens, when a woman brings warmth into an interaction without trying to manipulate the outcome. A man feels it when he's with someone who's genuinely open. He feels it in the way she listens, not to prepare a response, but to actually hear him. He feels it in the way she makes space for his thoughts, his dreams, even his flaws, without immediately jumping to fix or critique. And it's not that she agrees with everything he says, far from it. But there's this presence she brings, a stillness, a calm. It makes him feel like he can exhale, like he can drop the act, like maybe, for once, he doesn't have to perform either. That kind of energy is rare, and it's incredibly attractive. There's also something about being approachable, and I don't mean always smiling or people-pleasing. I mean allowing someone to feel like there's room for them. So often, we think being mysterious or aloof will draw someone in, but the truth is, too much distance makes people unsure of where they stand. When a woman carries herself with openness, not chasing, but welcoming, she creates a bridge. She's not lowering her standards, she's just not building walls that no one can climb. And this doesn't mean you're being passive. It means you're letting things unfold organically. You're allowing the other person to step toward you while showing that you're emotionally present enough to meet them there. That subtle balance is what creates connection. It tells a man, you can show up fully here, and I'll meet you with understanding, not judgment. Now, a lot of women worry that being warm and open will make them look weak or too available. But let's be honest, the right man isn't scared off by warmth. He's drawn to it. What pushes him away is neediness, not openness. And they're not the same. Neediness says, please like me, so I can feel enough. But feminine warmth says, I already feel enough. And I'm open to sharing that with someone who's worthy. That's a massive shift. You're not giving to get. You're giving because that's who you are. You're not complimenting to win someone over. You're expressing genuine appreciation. You're not listening to earn love. You're listening because you're curious and grounded enough to care. And let me tell you, men feel the difference. They can sense when someone's energy is grounded versus when it's reaching. That subtle difference between giving from fullness and giving from lack is everything. One attracts connection. The other drains it. When you allow yourself to be warm, receptive, even a little vulnerable, you're not lowering your guard in a reckless way. You're showing trust in yourself. You're showing that you don't have to be in control of every outcome to feel safe. That's what makes you magnetic. Not control. Not mystery. But trust. In yourself, in the moment, in the process. Letting someone in emotionally doesn't mean you're handing over your power. It means you're confident enough in your boundaries to be open without fear. It means you're not letting past pain harden you, and you're not bracing yourself for rejection before the connection even has a chance to form. And here's the part that most people miss, this energy. It heals. When a man is around a woman who is emotionally available, who communicates with softness and intention, who shows care without expectation, he begins to open up too. Or he becomes better in her presence, not because she's fixing him, but because she invites him to be real. That's what true connection is made of. Not sparks, not games, but depth. So when you step into a situation with that warmth and emotional openness, you're not just attracting a man, you're inviting him to show up as the best version of himself. And the men who are ready for that, they notice. They remember. And they don't want to lose it. Because in a world full of people wearing masks and playing roles, the woman who leads with quiet warmth and genuine presence is unforgettable. One of the most attractive qualities in a woman, one of those subtle things that really sets her apart, is when she has her own life, her own rhythm, her own sense of direction. There's something incredibly powerful about someone who doesn't orbit around anyone else's world, because she's already built her own. When talk about independence, I don't just mean financial or logistical independence, although those matter too. I'm talking about emotional independence, the kind that says, I enjoy your company, but I'm not dependent on it to feel whole. That energy is magnetic. It tells a man, without a single word, you're welcome to be here, but you're not required. And that shifts everything. Because now, the connection isn't based on need. It's based on desire. You're not there because you're clinging to someone to fill a gap. You're there because you've got something to share, and you're choosing to share it with him. There's a huge difference between being alone and being lonely. A woman who enjoys her own company, who has friends, passions, projects, who actually has a life she's proud of, brings something rich to the table. And here's what's interesting. The more complete your life feels without a man, the more space you actually create for the right one. Because you're not looking for someone to fix you or save you. Or you're looking for someone who adds to what's already working. That's a whole different vibe. Think about it. When someone's energy says, please complete me, that puts pressure on the other person to perform. But when your energy says, I already feel complete, and I'm simply open to sharing my time with the right person, that's incredibly freeing. It allows the other person to show up without feeling like they're responsible for your happiness. And let me be really clear. Independence doesn't mean you don't want love. It doesn't mean you don't feel vulnerable at times. It just means you're not outsourcing your self-worth to someone else's attention, or you're not using a relationship to distract you from the work you haven't done internally. And when a man meets a woman who carries herself that way, he senses the difference. He doesn't feel like he has to fill a role or fix her mood. He feels like he's being invited into something real, something grounded, something balanced. That's the kind of dynamic that makes a relationship actually work. Because now, there's space for both people to breathe. You've got your time. He's got his, and when you come together, it's not because either of you is desperate for validation. It's because you want to be there, or you're both coming from a place of fullness, not lack. It also changes how you respond to behavior that doesn't serve you. When you're emotionally independent, You're not afraid to walk away if something feels off. You don't tolerate breadcrumbs or mixed signals, or because you don't need someone's half effort to feel okay about yourself. You have standards, not because you're playing hard to get up, but because you respect yourself too much to accept anything less than what you know you deserve. And men pick up on that. Oh, a man who's emotionally available and ready for something real. He doesn't see your independence as intimidating. He sees it as inspiring. Oh, it tells him you're not here to lose yourself in him. You're here to partner with him. That creates a whole new kind of intimacy, one that's built on mutual respect rather than co-dependence. Now, of course, being independent doesn't mean you have to do everything alone. It's not about building walls. It's about having roots before you grow branches with someone else. It's about knowing who you are when no one else is around. That way, when you enter a relationship, you don't disappear. You bring your full self to the table, your opinions, your time, your passions, your needs. You're not afraid to say no. You're not afraid to say what you want. And you're not afraid to walk away from someone who doesn't meet you there because you know you'll be okay either way. That's not cold. It's clear. And clarity is powerful. So many women have been taught, directly or indirectly, that needing less makes them more lovable, that shrinking their needs or putting someone else first constantly will make someone stay. But it doesn't. What makes someone stay is when they feel respected and when they respect you in return. And that starts with how you show up for yourself. If you treat your time or your peace and your life as valuable, the right person will too. So if you want to attract someone who truly sees you, who respects you, who values the relationship, it starts by showing them that you already see, respect, and value yourself. Not in a showy way, but in your daily choices, your boundaries, your lifestyle, and your energy. Because the truth is, there's nothing more attractive than someone who doesn't need you, but still chooses you. Or there's something incredibly attractive about someone who actually sees you. Not just glances in your direction, or not just hears the words you're saying, but someone who is genuinely curious about who you are underneath it all. That's what this point is really about. Cultivating curiosity and appreciation. And it's not flashy, it's not loud, but it's one of the most powerful, subtle attitudes you can have if you want to build a deep, lasting connection with a man. When someone feels like you're really paying attention, not just waiting for your turn to speak, not judging, not rushing the moment, it creates this rare emotional intimacy. Oh, and for a man who is used to being seen as someone who's supposed to have it together all the time, that's disarming in the best possible way. He starts to feel like, here's someone who's actually interested in me, not for what I can provide or how impressive I look, but for who I am when I'm not performing. That kind of energy doesn't just connect, it attracts you. Because you'd be surprised how few people actually bring that into a conversation. And I get it, we're often so focused on whether someone likes us, whether we're saying the right thing, whether we're enough, that we forget to slow down and simply observe. To look at the person across from us with fresh eyes and think, what makes them light up? What matters to them? What do they really care about beyond the surface? When you bring that kind of attention into a dynamic with a man, you give him permission to drop the mask, to stop trying to be impressive and start being real. And when a man feels seen for his character, not just his accomplishments, that's when trust begins to form. That's when he starts to think, this woman gets me. She sees something in me that most people overlook. That doesn't mean you're putting him on a pedestal. It's not about idolizing him or giving compliments just to win points. That's not appreciation. That's flattery. And men can feel the difference. Real appreciation is subtle. It's the way you say, "That was a thoughtful thing you did," when he didn't expect to be noticed. It's acknowledging the effort, the follow through, the integrity, things that often go unseen because they're not loud. Here, when you start appreciating someone's character instead of just the outcomes they produce, they start showing you more of that character, because we all tend to lean into the parts of us that feel valued. And the more you show someone that you notice their intentions, their kindness, their ambition, not just what they've achieved, the more they open up, the more they want to give you that side of them. But here's the thing, this attitude of curiosity and appreciation has to be rooted in confidence. If it comes from a place of needing to please, or win approval, or gain favor, it loses its power. It becomes performative. But when it comes from a grounded place, when you're giving your attention because you want to, not because you're trying to earn anything, it creates ease. It feels good. It makes the interaction feel like a mutual exchange rather than an audition. That's why this quality works best when it's part of a broader mindset. When you're not just curious about him, but you're curious about life. You notice things. You take interest. You're engaged with the world around you. That kind of curiosity is contagious. It keeps conversations fresh. It keeps the connection alive. It shows that you're not just looking to find someone to fill a role in your life. You're genuinely interested in who someone is, and how your lives might intertwine in a meaningful way. This is especially attractive in a dating context, because it breaks the pattern. So many people go into dates or conversations with an agenda. Is he the one? Does he meet my list? But when you approach it from a place of exploration, when your attitude is, "Let's see who this person really is," it removes pressure. It makes things fun again. It invites the kind of relaxed confidence that lets people be their true selves. And the best part is, when you carry that mindset, it doesn't just affect your romantic life, it transforms how people experience you in general. You become someone others feel safe around, seen by, appreciated by. That's the kind of person people remember, and the men who are ready for something real. They're not looking for the loudest voice in the room. They're looking for someone who makes them feel known. So when you show up with genuine curiosity, when you're present enough to notice the small details and grounded enough to express real appreciation, you're not just creating connection. You're creating trust, safety, and depth. And that's what a truly lasting relationship is built on. Because at the end of the day, people don't fall in love with who you pretend to be. They fall in love with how they feel around you.